Let's take a look here. Testing. I'm trying to go live on multiple systems at the moment, so let's see if we can make this thing happen. It's supposed to go. There we go. Okay, let me click go live here. And here we are. Hopefully this will work. We're trying to make this work on multiple platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as X or Twitter. Many of you guys know. Let's see if we can bring Alex in, our trusty co-host. Actually, wrong window. Let's go out here. Welcome, guys. I'm gonna wait till viewers jump into the video. Let's get Alex added on. Okay, so we'll get Alex added on. Here he is. It looks like he jumped in. Let's see if we can add him in here. There he is. There's the man. Boom. The one, the legend. How do they say it?
The myth.
That's the one. That's the one. Let's go ahead and just minimize some of these windows. How are you, man? Happy Easter, everyone.
Thank you. Happy Easter, everybody.
Absolutely. We got a couple of viewers in. I know it's going to be a really good show today. I know I didn't get any music ready for you guys, but looks like Alex cleaned up nice. How was your weekend, my friend?
I mean, pretty good.
Very nice.
It's pretty chill.
Kind of a chill
hanging
weekend?
Out with friends.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I can say the same here. I'm usually running around doing stuff, and I got a chance to hang out with some friends I haven't seen in a while, a good group. And that is always welcome. Always happy about that. So it looks like we got a good number of folks. How we doing? Finally making it to beginning. Hey, there's Mr. Falcon. Yes. I know it's always been rough for you. Joe, I had some questions. The man, the myth, the legend. That's right. And let's see. I'm actually running this also live on Instagram and X and a few other places. So let's see if we can make it work. This is the first time for us to do that. Good time to buy a truck. Is this a good? Oh, okay. Joe's asking if it's a good time to buy a truck. Short answer is yes. The short answer is yes. But do I think you could save more money by waiting a little bit longer? Also yes. But in addition to that, you also want to make sure to move this window. You also want to consider how much money you could be making if you had a truck in the interim. What do you think, Alex? Joe asks a really good question.
Yeah, and I mean, the prices for trucks, they're not very high. They're not the lowest either, like we've seen a little bit lower. But it's a good period to buy the truck. However, I mean, I'm going to put it in short terms and actually properly, part of this is going to be in a subject that I will discuss later today. But the thing is, keep in mind like this, I keep it in very, very short words.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a truck and you want to buy a truck and plan to be an owner operator, don't think about only the costs of the truck, like buying the truck and, I don't know, maybe some money for fuel. Like, you'll need a lot more money in a back to sustain yourself, because if you're going to lease on, you're going to need money for a lot of things. You're going to have a lot of expenses, pre-employment expenses. Plus, you're gonna have to leave to get your first money, and of course, on the other side, there are even expenses because you're gonna pay everything if you do it on your own MC. So it is a good time to buy a truck if you have the right amount of money. If not, I'd suggest to put money on the side, keep working as a company driver, and put more money on the side, so you can do that properly.
Also, a lot of guys forget their trailer. Right? Super important. Super important to make sure you have a trailer.
As of now, I mean, if you can put enough money to buy a trailer, right now they're very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually pretty cheap. If not, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's another pretty big investment, so it's understandable, but you can rent one at least.
And you don't want to be running power only. Let's make sure that's clear.
Oh, no.
Yeah, don't run power only. Let me try to move this camera here.
You'll cut your own plank if you do that.
Yeah, you're really going to make your life very, very difficult, so you don't want to do that. See, I try to fix something and I make it crooked. So, but guys, we have a great show. Thank you for all the viewers, guys. If while you're in here, please smash the like button. That'll really help get this video early on out there. I know it's Easter Sunday. Again, happy Easter to everyone. We'll make sure we have a really good show. In fact, Alex has some stuff prepared for you. He was really excited to look over some of the stuff with you guys. He's going to actually go over a topic that I've written extensively about. We've talked a little bit about it in some of our videos, and he really took some time to go through and make a really nice, strong case of becoming an owner-operator. And it's kind of the essential guide to it. You know, very kind of compressed in a nutshell, but you know, that's why we're here. We have the time. We'll be able to go out there and actually make this happen. Let's see, it says multi-stream.
Yeah, because we also have it on our forum, and it's pretty much well written and well explained. However, I will like go a little bit in more detail on some points that maybe they're a little bit because basically on the forum we have it everything, so you can find all the useful information. But of course, some things can be explained a little bit more in detail. So probably that's why we'll try to do as much as possible.
Absolutely. That's some of the things that we'll definitely cover, and definitely get your questions for him, because you know, he's going to go into a lot of detail. This won't be a sales pitch or anything like that. I would never do that to you guys in a live 2-hour show or something like that. Get you guys all hyped up for something useful and then do a sales pitch. That's not the case. The goal here is to get you guys thinking. Those of you who are looking to get into becoming an owner operator, is it the right time for you? Do you have the basics and the baseline built in order to be successful? And then, you know, for those of you guys who are already leased on owner operators, maybe it'll kind of get the noodle working and start thinking, okay, well, what am I paying? Do I need the service? Am I making enough money? You know, because right now profitability is really tough to come by. So, you know, Alex, I'm really glad he brought that up. We'll also cover a few other topics.
Most of it is going to be directed towards either the people that are company drivers and plan to become owner operators, or owner operators that just started, and you know, to realize in advance what kind of mistakes they did. Because most probably what I'm gonna say here, Kerry, that let's say he's been on the market for 5 years, he already either knew what to do or did those mistakes. One of the two.
Absolutely. And remember, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago we made a video about. And why it was an important video, and it was luckily a popular video, a lot of people got to watch it, was the reasons why owner operators felt strictly owner operators, why they felt that they had failed. And it was kind of a bit of a meta study that I did. I put together the numbers. There was a lot of responses, and I put them together and then kind of combined it based on the people's responses. And honestly, what it ended up being was poor money management was the number one reason. Poor money management. If truckers can figure that out.
How much is the difference in money with fuel consumption with 25,000 pounds or 45,000 pounds on a Freightliner 2016? So I'm not super exactly familiar with the Freightliner, but on the average, it can vary plus minus, but on the average, of course, that also matters if the how road conditions are, and if you're going through mountains, so go on. So let's say on average is somewhere in between 6 to 11 cents a mile.
Oh, I see the difference. You mean?
Yeah,
6 to 11 cents. Okay, I've never looked at that way. I will tell you this, and that's a great question, because my brother
that's why,
drives.
For example, even us, when we book a 45,000 pounds, we usually ask for much more so we can cover properly that difference.
Yeah, I will answer it like this, and I don't know if this is a good answer or not, but my brother drives a 2016 Freightliner, so it just so happens to be the same exact truck. Now, it just so happens to be that we carry some freight that is generally no more than 25,000 pounds. Usually about 20 at the most. Sometimes less, sometimes more. But, you know, we can, I think, safely average that out. And he's doing a lot of short runs around town, stuff like that. Sometimes, you know, hop on a freeway, this and that. So it's not the most. And I know that he still gets right around 7 miles to the gallon on that end. I know that there's probably no way that he would get that with a 45,000 pound load. You know, unless he's got, you know, a tailwind behind him going down a hill, or maybe somewhere in flat in Nebraska or something like that, maybe you could do something. So terrain will vary, trailer type will vary. A flatbed could have a light load, but it could be, you know, not work with wind, be resistant to wind. That'll slow you down. You know, if you have headwinds, things like that. So it's kind of a loaded question, but there's certainly a difference in fuel economy, especially if you're going through mountains with a heavy load. That's your worst case scenario. So we do consider that, and we have some carriers and even some owner operators who have a cutoff, right? I think you work with a few guys who had a cutoff of like 35,000 pounds, no more than that, or somewhere around that neighborhood.
Yeah, I worked with them, but they were doing properly like that because they were thinking that. I mean, he was telling me that he's doing 4 miles per gallon if he hauls 45, and I was like, okay. And I looked properly on their ELD because there are some ELDs that can see if even their fuel consumption and everything. And he was properly in the steep areas close to California, like close to LA, properly before LA, basically,
Hmm.
those canyons and stuff. And yeah, true. Normally he was averaging 7. On those areas, he was averaging 6.2.
6.2. Yeah. It depends also. If you got a cap motor or something like that, then don't expect high high numbers. But on the other hand, if you got like I don't know, like a down-tuned DD15 or something like that, then you're probably going to get pretty good economy, but you may not like the
Yeah,
ride.
the thing is that most people get scared because when like some of them have actually their fuel consumption on their board and they can see exactly how much it consumes live.
Uh-huh.
The thing is, like, if they see there, like, I don't know, 4 miles or 3 miles per gallon or 2 miles or something like that, like, they see a very high fuel consumption for half an hour, they think that that is their fuel consumption, but it's not. Like, you can have to see it on a bigger picture. Like, if you hold 2 heavy loads and 10 non-heavy loads, your average is gonna be pretty much there. Like, it's all gonna be almost the same.
Yeah.
You can't look like in any point of view, fuel, rates, pretty much everything. You cannot look at loads per individual. Like that's the thing that I've been saying for the past couple of lives.
No, for sure. Yeah, you definitely want to average out. You definitely want to look at the bigger picture, the macro view versus the micro view. I was going to say the acceleration rules. Yeah, how do you become a millionaire in trucking? And at first I was like, oh my God, here we go with those questions. But he had the perfect answer. Start with 2 million. So that's fantastic. And we got Marco Dakic saying, my drivers are no more than 30,000 pounds. Consumption varies. They say, so I want to know. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, it will also depend. You know, some guys got, what do they call it? A steel foot or whatever, or a lead foot, you know, and then those guys will never be able to get good economy. So
Yeah,
kind of vary
I'll let me
quite a
put it
bit.
in a different way from what Marco is saying. Like, let's say you haul only 30,000 pounds, but your sacrifice is somewhere around 25, 30 cents per mile because you limit yourself to only 20% of the market. Because most of the market, especially for driving a reefer, is 40,000 pounds plus. If you haul 45,000 pounds, you're going to consume, let's say, in a worst case scenario, like, I don't know, you're hauling through heavy storms on a steep area, you maybe like consume like you lose 15 cents a mile at the worst case scenario. I mean, you can choose in between hauling the 45, losing 15 cents a mile, or losing 25 cents a mile because you'll basically limit your market.
100%. No, it really depends. Like if we were in a hot market and you it was a trucker's
Yeah,
market and you
that's
could
another
pick and
story,
choose.
but
It's
we're
another
not.
thing, you know. But sometimes you really have to do it, and sometimes it's really difficult to run those numbers on the fly to figure out. Well, I'm going to be going through West Virginia. Where's the final market I'm going to end up with? Is the rate I'm currently getting worth it? But the market I'm in, is it good enough or is it bad enough? You know what I mean? There's just too many things. By that time, you're going to lose the load if it truly is a very good load. Cool, very awesome. Well, thank you everybody in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully all the other streaming services are working and we're going to get a bunch of viewers there. I did want to kind of cover one thing is if you've seen our thumbnail, you saw that kind of today's show is mainly about like electrification, going green, where the industry is kind of heading, and another major issue. It looks like the majority of the trucking industry in the United States, I should say in the North America, could potentially be under attack by hackers. And I swear, I was just talking to my brother and the other day, and I said, you know what? When the ELDs came out originally, I kept wondering, you're plugging directly basically into the ECM, and wouldn't they be able to control things like some bad actors? And guess what? That's where we are here today. So researchers from Colorado State University, looks like 3 guys, Jake Jepson, Rick Chatterjee and Jeremy Daly, they discovered critical security weaknesses in electronic logging devices, ELDs, required by law for commercial trucks in the U.S. Now, they used a real truck. They used the Kenworth. And as it turned out to be, that this is an issue that it actually is quite widespread. It's actually super interesting for the geek at heart, for the nerds at heart. I think you guys are going to be like, this is something that definitely was a screw up, by the organizations. Having Wi-Fi, having Bluetooth was a security vulnerability. Now, it says that these vulnerabilities expose trucks to significant cyber threats, including remote control via ELDs, where attackers could gain wireless control of crucial truck systems through ELD exploits, malicious data manipulation. So by uploading malicious firmware, so firmware is like software that runs on your hardware device, on your ELD. So they update that, like your phone when it goes through like the major updates, or your computers. By uploading malicious firmware, attackers could tamper with data and disrupt vehicle operations. We're talking pretty much any truck past 1999 release. It's a lot of trucks, 25 years of trucks, and spreading cyber worms. Now, this one was just absolutely astonishing. And it says here, perhaps most concerning, the research suggests that the possibility of creating self-replicating truck-to-truck cyber worms that could wreak havoc across commercial fleets, causing widespread disruptions and potential safety hazards. So I'll finish up with this article, but why I say that this is such a big deal. Basically, as you're driving down a highway, your Bluetooth and wireless devices are spreading this worm throughout other trucks that pass you by. When you go park for the night, when you're running your truck, when you're loading, when you're unloading, any of the trucks nearby, it would actually infect those trucks wirelessly and can do all these things like control the actual equipment, create malfunctions, create problems, make it so you can't drive. I mean, they could literally stop the entire industry of any truck past 1999. Now, I'll continue, because this is self-replicating. These are the worst kind of viruses that you're always afraid of, because they can infect networks and just wreak havoc all over. And imagine this in a trucking industry. Now, what they're saying, the researchers conducted tests on both benchtop systems and a real truck. It was a 2014 Kenworth 270 Class 6 truck equipped with a vulnerable ELD to demonstrate the feasibility of these attacks. Their findings underscore the urgent need to bolster ELD security. By following existing cybersecurity best practices and adhering to established security protocols, significant improvements can be made. Or just make the police plug in with a cable. Problem solved. You know what I mean? You don't have to have convenience everywhere, especially when it's the entire trucking industry could just go down through an exploit. They don't have to activate these exploits. You have to remember, they could just be inert, running in your system, nothing. And then when they get enough trucks infected, you flip the switch. You know what I mean? God forbid, I hope that never happens, you know what I mean? But this is what we're talking about here. This is major research, and I'll leave the links and all the stuff. There's a long PDF, boring, hard to understand, but there's enough written online where you can get a good idea. So it says the research details the process of discovering and exploiting these vulnerabilities. This information is intended to raise awareness among product designers, programmers, engineers, and consumers, with the ultimate goal of promoting the development of more secure devices for vehicle networks. So that's some scary stuff. Alex, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about what I just talked to? Do you think that's a big deal or a no big deal?
I mean, to be honest, me personally, I think it's pretty scary. I mean,
a self-replicating worm.
Let's say if, I don't know, like you can access a lot of stuff with the ELD because basically it's connected through the entire thing. Like you can deactivate sensors, you can do a lot of nasty stuff.
You can do a lot of nasty stuff through ELD. I mean, it's like you're
actually like leaking on life endangering stuff. Like,
yeah, it connects to your OBD port. And the OBD port is basically direct connection to the computer, to the truck's computer, the ECM, the ECU. I think this is a big deal. I'll do a little quick segue. For those of you guys watching, the viewers, thank you so much. If you get a chance, smash the like button. Let's get this video out there this Easter Sunday. We are AFT Dispatch and A2C Logistics. We work with two types of customers. Dispatch service for those who have their own MC authority, those who are looking for, for a dispatcher who actually knows what they're doing. We handle your paperwork. We handle your billing and invoicing. We run all your credit checks. We have a very, very established, long time experienced dispatchers. We know how to do this, and we show you guys every week, every Friday, what kind of rates our guys are getting, week after week, good market or bad. Same thing on the leasing side, leased on owner operators. You got your own equipment. Even if you don't have a trailer, we have trailers that are available. And we have very, very flexible terms, very inexpensive terms. And part of the reason is because we just cut out all the bells and whistles that other companies give you, in a nice little box with a nice little bow on top, but it's all useless, gimmicky crap that you don't need. So we cut all that out, keep the prices low, get you guys in, and you work with the same dispatchers who are running all our customers every single week. So you can't lose. So that's how you do that. aftdispatch.com. You'll see, dispatch service or lease on owner operator. Pick one or the other, a box will pop up. You just simply click that, fill out the form, and we'll get in touch with you guys. I know a lot of you guys get our videos on Fridays and then leave your stuff, your information, get really anxious because we don't call you back. Because, Alex and I, we like to take a day off if we're allowed. And so we try to get back to you guys on Monday. So thank you so much for that. And kind of moving on. Any questions? We had some folks out here. Truckers advised to not drive April 8th during the eclipse. Any thoughts on that? I'm gonna pass this on to Alex. What do you think? Are you familiar with the Eclipse? It's crossing over Oklahoma.
I'm familiar with the Eclipse or anything, but I don't know how it would affect the truckers. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not properly my expertise, but I don't see how it would actually affect that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe visibility issues, things like that.
Visibility, definitely. Yeah, I know that the atmospheric pressure would be slightly higher usually when there is an eclipse. The atmospheric pressure is slightly higher.
Interesting.
So maybe don't drive. I don't think it's probably the case. Don't drive on very high altitudes in the mountains. That could be the case. You might have a minor headache.
Yeah, could be problematic. I do find it a little bit interesting that for the first time in U.S. history, since observable history of these eclipses that we've been keeping track, we've never actually had National Guard deployed to the area. We've never had a large platoon or whatever the word is, large grouping of police officers also deployed there at the same time. We also supposedly have, and I haven't confirmed this, we'll have to see, but it's been a lot of talk for the last several weeks that there's going to be specialists in the radiologic, chemical, and I believe, what's the other one, nuclear, radiologic, that would be nuclear. And then there was 3 or 4 specialties, like specifics, that they're going to be deploying there. So really on high alert. But at the same time, I kind of understand because the whole world's at war. You know what I mean? So who knows? Maybe, they're worried that things could happen, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, if it's a concern, I would stay out of the area. I would definitely stay out of the area. I feel like acceleration rules has a specific reason for asking that.
Drive during that because, it's a nice thing to watch even.
It is, yeah. Yeah, we're going to get about a 30% view or something like that. No, a little more out here in Salt Lake.
A little more.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more of it on your end there. So definitely. Very cool. Very cool. Very good questions, guys. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Alex, did you want to talk about the topic you wanted to cover today, becoming an owner operator?
Yeah, because it's actually pretty long, and I want actually to
kind of jump in, right? Okay.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a really long one. So basically, what I wanted to talk today, because I've actually talked with some people I talked with a lot of people that are company drivers that wanted to become owner operators, opening their own MC authority or leasing on, or guys that already did that and did a lot of mistakes. And before I start, guys, if you hear me saying something and maybe you think I'm wrong, or maybe it's not clear enough, or you want a little bit more details about specific stuff, don't hesitate to ask. I'll stop right there and answer all your questions. So let's get into it. Basically, I'll go into a little bit, I'll cover most of the stuff that includes being an owner operator. The first will be the costs that are involved, because that's a very, very major thing and where a lot of people make the most mistakes. What to expect when you lease on as a carrier, and green and red flags to identify early on to not get scammed or get into some fishy business, because there are a lot of them recently. You're well aware. You're getting calls from some of those pretty much on a daily basis, and I completely understand. So proper. That's why I wanted to be straightforward and. Let me see. I'm driving, so cannot interact, but want to say that anti-guidance Texas have told truckers stay off the road. Then yeah, then probably there is something. I'm actually gonna look into it, and I'll see exactly, because I really don't know.
Appalachian Pilgrim. Yeah, you're right. I have heard of that. There were some in the area. A lot of truckers were asked to pull over to the side and basically during the eclipse to be off the shoulder. That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so basically, owner operator. What do we know an owner operator? The definition of it is, as we everybody knows it, is a person who bought his own truck and is operating his own equipment, basically. All right, so let's start with the most popular one, which is leasing on to another carrier, which is either is a small one, a medium one, or a big one. Of course, there are pros and cons to each of them, but we'll go through that in a bit. So, what are the most important things? The most important thing is for you to have a capital, to have a strong, healthy capital in case things go sideways. You don't have to sell that truck because you worked so hard, you hustle so much to get your truck. It would be a real shame to lose it. So do very very good calculations. You can even reach like like an economical consultant and actually talk with him. Look, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to survive the market is at this condition X and X and X. You're gonna pay him some money, but he's gonna save you much more headache and much more money that you'll think. Because there are people that are much more specialized than you or than me. Like I'm not an economist. I know a little bit of it, and I studied the word a little bit, but I'm not an economist. So I'd suggest, if you don't know how to calculate it, better reach somebody like that is specialized in it and get more information. The other thing is hidden costs. This is a very, very even Vitaly said it earlier. Some of the things about that. There are some carriers, medium, big, and small, that will charge you a specific percentage or either a fixed quota, uh, like a total fixed quota, or a fixed quota plus deduction, and that will include a lot of cost for a specific amount of things. Like I've seen, actually, I'll give an example that will sound very stupid. There is a dispatch service that I've heard, a trucking company with a dispatch service. I'm not going to name it, that they charge the owner operators $10 for each detention and layover received, ab- above the percentage. So they're gonna charge you for that. For example, that's a very very stupid extra fee that you don't have to pay. And there are a lot of other services. But tell me, can you offer me some like good examples in terms of that?
As far as what sort of services?
Services that are pretty much useless, and there are a lot of carriers that charge you for that.
Oh, are you talking about like leasing on, like for guys
Yeah.
that charge? Yeah, yeah. I've seen. So overcharging is very common. Like, so for example, personally, I have seen companies inflate the cost of IFTA every quarter. I've seen companies inflate the cost of IRP plates, your tags. All of those things, by the way, are that's not legal. You can't be inflating federal rates
Hmm.
and then state program rates. I
Yeah.
have seen companies take advantage of escrow. I've seen companies where they collect and never give it back to you. I've seen guys that create all sorts of good afternoon, madam. I've seen guys create different types of programs where basically they say you're going to get this money, and then you don't actually get the money. Basically, when you leave, they just keep giving you to run around, and then there's usually a little caveat. One company, they were taking 5 cents per mile onto it was kind of an escrow. It was like a holding account. Well, when the gentleman left, he couldn't get it, and he just stuck around there until he could get it on his last check and then leave. And then they just kept stringing him along. So that's another problem. So there are multiple ways. There's a lot
Hmm.
of programs that they'll create that are useless, or they'll say a service fee, like, I don't know, like administrative fees. What does that mean? What's an administrative fee?
Yeah.
Documentation fee, like what? Just so that you can fill out a paper that's provided to you at no cost by the government. Like dealers do that all the time. $300 documentation fee for what? You're gonna download it from the state and you're gonna fill it out and you're gonna make me sign it. So things like that. This is the
Yeah.
reason why I say when you're opening up your own MC authority, do the paperwork yourself so you understand, because you're going to be a potential employer in the future. Same thing with carriers. This way, if you same thing with carriers you lease onto, like Alex is saying, a lot of companies will create all sorts of fees and structures and things like that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Alex, I
So,
hope I
for
understood what you're
example,
saying. What you asked.
yeah, and be aware that like once you got your truck, maybe you managed to get a trailer too, or you rented your trailer. Those will not be your only or your only major costs. For example, another major cost that many people neglect or they hear from other carriers, usually big carriers, do this fish thing and don't fall for it because it's never going to be true that you're going to get your place for free. No, that's entirely false. That's an entire lie. Nothing is free in this world, and I think everybody knows nothing is free. Maybe the only thing that you can find free and truly free is information. Other than information, nothing is free. No service will ever be free because somebody has to eat from that service. And so plates are never free and they actually cost a lot. Like, for example, I'll give an example in Illinois, they're $2,000 a year. There are many, many ways that carriers do it. Uh, my advice is if you can, if you afford it, and that's why I'm saying don't hurry up into becoming an owner operator ASAP. Put as much money on the side and do it properly. And in the way to do it properly is buy your own plates. Yes, you're gonna pay $2,000 or 18 or 17, depends where you live. Correct. You're gonna pay it upfront, all the whole money for the entire year. But let's say you bump into a carrier that might not treat you well, or the dispatchers are doing a terrible job, or they don't have freight, or they don't give you freight, or I don't know, the money comes in 3 weeks or in 4 weeks, they're late with payments for whatever reason, you want to leave. You pay those guys because most of them will ask you to do a payment in advance, and plus the rest of it is reimbursed in a couple of weeks or multiple weeks, depends a little bit on the carrier, how much availability they have. But you're gonna pay a lot of money. You're gonna pay $1,000, $1,500, sometimes even $2,000. Like $1,000, maybe even $1,500 up front. Even if you pay only $500 up front and you pay another 300 next week, you lost $800. Because, and why I'm saying you lost it, because if you do it with that company, that's the property of the company. By law, you cannot take those with you. You cannot work with them. You cannot operate with them
Yep. As
at
far as
all.
plates, yeah.
If you take your plates, you're doing yourself two favors. So one, you're never gonna lose money on that because you need plates in order to operate anyway. So you're not going to lose money on the plates. And two, most of the honest companies that actually work on a with good ethics and they want good business that you and them they both benefit of this relationship. They'll let you run with your own plates. Usually, if you see, oh, you cannot run with your plates, you have to run with ours. Uh, That's totally untrue. It's completely legal to run with your plates, and usually those who don't want to do that is because they're making money of you with those two, and probably they're overcharging the plates. Not only that, you're risking to lose money, but they're also going to overcharge you most probably. And the easiest way to find out if they're overcharging you, just you can go on a safer website, on a FMCSA website, check their MC, see from which state they're located, and just look on a government website how much are the plates from that state. That's the easiest way to see if they're overcharging you. It takes you 5 minutes with a phone.
Yeah. Plus, the other thing you can do is verify. Keep track of all your IFTA miles, see what you're doing, and then you can actually get a 2-page printout of every state's rate. You can see based on your ELD device which states you've ran, how much, where you bought your fuel, and you can get your company to send you actual report, right? And you can look at the miles and then multiply it by the rate and see what the dollar amount is. And if the dollar amount they're quoting you is higher, then you're being overcharged. So it's simple as that. And don't think it's a little bit of money, because here's the thing: there's guys out there that they spend a few $100 every quarter on per truck on IFTA. So it adds up to thousands. So imagine if they double it, and you're throwing away that money. So and a lot of guys will spend even more. It just depends on where you're running, cost of fuel and things, or number of gallons that have been purchased, things like that. So that will definitely affect it. Yeah, definitely be very, very
Yeah.
careful.
So basically, as I was saying, like, if a carrier forces you to use their plates, is definitely a red flag. You should run out of there as fast as possible. That's 100% a scam. Like, I've never seen an honest carrier that will tell you to do that.
Well, it's not 100%
Um,
scam. Like it's
it's not a scam. It's basically they're forcing you to pay them more.
yeah.
Basically, and that's kind of the definition of a scam.
Yeah.
Plus
Like our
minus.
place you mentioned, like the Illinois plates are very, very expensive. So whenever I, used to talk to the owner operators, just say, look, you have your own plates? Okay, bring them over. And if not, like, well, what state you're in? And as long as you weren't in California or something like that, which is even more expensive, pretty much any other state outside of Illinois will be cheaper than Illinois. So, guys out
Yeah.
there in like, Wyoming or something like that, they usually will be
And
able
I
to do
know
that.
even Kevin, like sometimes properly when I was dispatching back in the day, I know that Kevin sometimes properly advised some of the guys to, because they were living in a state that the place were much cheaper,
Hmm.
and they were telling you like, man, I'd suggest you to get it on yourself because it's gonna be better for you.
Yep.
So that's the thing. Like, for example, that's what I wanted to say. Like, if you, so that's a clear red flag. Another red flag that you'll always see would be, as Vitaly said earlier, unclear costs. Like, if you see documentation fee or management fee, whatever, like, that doesn't make any sense. If you
Hmm.
see, I don't know, dispatch fee, accounting fee, safety fee, that's okay. Some people divide them, some people put them all together. That's okay as long as you're not being overcharged. Because, and the way you can see if you're getting overcharged is just, shop a little bit the market to see how the prices look, and you'll figure it out very fast.
The other thing I would do, and I think this is a good way of going about things. Convert everything, add all the numbers together, convert them into a percentage, and figure out what your out the door cost is. Right.
Correct.
Once you figure that out, you could do the same math on every single company that you're interviewing or considering, and then look at it at your, let's say, your top three. Right. And then you can, between those top three, you can figure out, okay, well, this one might be cheaper, but it's honestly, they're excluding some things that I know I'm going to end up paying. So, the price isn't really real. This one's something else, that one's something else. But at least you're going to come down to the kind of meat and potatoes of the whole situation, be able to make a decision, a more educated decision.
Yeah. And plus, I've seen, for example, a lot of carriers that offer services like leasing on, and some of them, like, most of them charging between, like, I've seen the lowest I think I've seen 10% up to even 30%.
Hmm.
I've seen pretty much the whole range. Usually, those that are like in between 10 and 16, let's say, usually they go by the model of percentage plus deductions.
Hmm.
Deductions usually are fixed, and the percentage is the percentage basically. And those that have percentage plus deduction, make sure you have the same amount of benefits that you can have with another company too, because you can find two different companies that both of them are charging you 13% plus deductions. Deductions, no, most of the time, is plates, as we talked earlier, insurance, ELD, basically the base fixed cost that you have. And the percentage, basically, in that percentage, in the percentage, is basically the service that company provides you, the leasing service. But most of the companies don't offer you in that 13% or 14 or 15, depends how much it is. They don't offer you only the leasing side. Yes, the fact that you can book under his MC is definitely something that you should pay for, because that guy worked quite hard to, maybe build a reputation, build it up through all those years, and everything, and keep a clean record. And plus, if something happens, it's his responsibility. So there's definitely a value for the guy that this is on owner operators. There's also a high responsibility for him, but it's not for 13%. If you pay 13, 12, 14, 15, else I'm saying why I'm saying 13, because that's the biggest average. Like, most of the companies have between 13 and 14. Like, that's probably the most popular number. Most of them offer in the same number. They offer you dispatch, accounting, safety, even ELD assistance. Like, if you have a problem with it, they'll assist you, they'll help you, they'll guide you as
Hmm.
much as they can, of course. Some of them even offer you another thing. Yeah, another is factoring, because I've seen actually carriers that they don't have a factoring. They lease on owner operators,
Yeah.
and they let them
And it's
handle
okay
that.
as long as they pay their bills on time and get your money. But I've seen carriers that charge back on factoring. And unless you've seen the actual account, because you got to remember, if they have a bunch of trucks, they probably got a lower rate. And so if they're like, no, it's 3%, sorry, that's just the cost, we got to pay it, so you got to pay it, but they're getting it for a 1.5 points, they're making a
Yeah,
1.5% on top of whatever you're paying. And you might be paying, 30%, and then that's another 31 and a half. You're just completely breaking the bank. Yeah. So you got to
yeah.
consider all those things.
So those are pretty much the red flags, like the biggest red flags. Of course, there are other stuff that you can see. Another thing that I've seen pretty often, for example, as a red flag, is um, forcing you to run and run and run. I actually talked with a guy that wanted to work with us. Then he had his own NC. He had it open for like 6 7 months, and he paid his insurance and everything. This is a real example, guys. And that guy was very very unlucky, like literally. And basically, he thought he was running with a dispatch company. In fact, it was a tracking company. He was leased on with them. He didn't even knew that what he signed there. So yeah,
Hmm.
people take advantage of people that are uninformed. And yes, they were making him pretty good money. Like back then, the our average was somewhere around 6,200 a week gross
Hmm.
average, and he was making more or less the same. But he was making it in 3,005, 3,200, 3,400, 3,700 miles. And he was running not 9 to 10 hours a day of driving. He was doing 13, 14, 15 hours of driving. He was driving constantly, and they were editing and faking their ELD all in all. So if you
Oh,
see
no.
that the carrier tells you to do that, or even if it's suggested to, you already should, raise the question mark, like something's wrong if they ask me to do something illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to be doing nothing illegal. You don't want to be running tired. And I saw a news story the other day. I think the company's getting sued at this point where they put in a driver, like a ghost driver, and then they made the initial driver can keep driving, and it switched to logbooks as if it was like a team. And there was an accident or got pulled over or something like that. And then they instructed him, there was an accident, and the cops are going to come. And they instructed the driver to say that he had just dropped off his co-driver
Colleague.
somewhere. Yeah, it's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, so that's definitely. So basically, anything that looks shady, that looks suspicious, that
Yeah.
they even suggest you to go illegal is definitely something that you should at least be aware, if not get out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people are in a tough situation and they're trying just to make a buck because they invested for maybe some money to lease on and so go on. So that's why I'm saying have some money ahead, buy your own plates, so your leasing costs are as minimum as possible. So in case you bump into one of those guys, to not lose a lot of money, to not lose $1,000 or $1,500, because that would be a big shame to lose that much. And of course, since there are a lot of red flags for a lot of carriers, as everybody knows, because it's hard to see the bad things, there are also good things that the carriers can offer, and you can differentiate them very, very easily. And one of them is, as I said even before, of course, having your own place, buying your own place. That's always a good thing because basically it tells you upfront that, man, I don't want to make money off you on this service,
Hmm.
so you're clear on that. Another thing that there are a lot of companies that do not do that, and all my respects for those who do is complete transparency. Like if you have a curiosity, like let's say I don't know, you hold it for that carrier for 3 weeks, and you tell him, "Hey, can I see my full detailed fuel expenses?" Most of them will send you like a paper that will tell you your total cost.
Hmm.
Normally you can get it, especially when you have fuel cards, you can get a detailed list of every single fuel up, from where did you fuel up, for how much,
Yep.
how many gallons, and so go on. And those are very very important. I gave that as an example because that's something that many people hide because they have deals. I've heard even companies that, like carriers, that have deals with their own fuel card provider, and they take off that, but on those records you cannot see it. You cannot they cannot fake it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. You're
You
just
can
not
get
gonna.
that information. Absolutely. You should have access.
Yeah.
They can even provide the access because they have access to limit your spending. So therefore, or you know what, like in our case, bring your own fuel card, get your own reports. We don't force you to have, use our fuel card.
Yeah,
There's better fuel cards out there.
another red and green flag depends on the response of the carrier that you
Yeah.
can see. Is let's say if you're quoting, you're shopping around, you're looking for a carrier, trying to lease on, and you maybe are newer into the business, you maybe don't know, you've been a company driver and just heard rumors how much. Oh, I made $10,000 and $1,500 net in a 30-day week. Uh, because those happen a lot, and people, and I know you guys like to brag in truck stops and when you're loading and unloading, I just don't completely fine them. It's super okay. But what I would suggest is whenever you shop around, ask the guy, hey, I mean, I'd love to see how much like people actually do with your company. Can you send me, some statements just to see how much your drivers are making, so I know more or less how much I could make. That basically will prove you two things. One would be the transparency of the driver. What are you showing us there, Vitaly?
It's the world's largest truck stop. It's in
Oh,
Iowa.
that's
When
cool.
I was there, I filmed, so I figured while you're talking, I'll play these videos.
Yeah. So basically, one, you see that you see basically exactly how much the truckers that work with that company make, and you see the capabilities and the potential of their dispatchers. Of course, if you do the same level of work as those guys, and you also see that the carrier that you're trying to work with is transparent, and transparency is very very important to see, to find out pretty much everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, transparency is super super important, and more transparent there are about their costs and fees, the better it's gonna be. Like, for example, even me, when I'm talking with people that call in to check with me to find out more about our services, the first thing I tell them is our costs straight ahead, 7%, because there's nothing to hide about. I mean, you're still gonna have it. You're still gonna see it. Why hide it? But people do that for some reason, and it's really really weird. But it is what it is. And another thing that, as a green flag, that I could put it as a green flag, I mentioned it earlier, it's super, super important, is when you lease on, try to see if you're not overpaying, of course, and see to get as many, many, many services as possible in the same percentage. Like, get if you get accounting, safety, fuel card, factoring, dispatch, ELD, everything in the same as much as possible in the same cost,
Yeah.
basically.
Make sure
So
everything's
that's
included.
the thing
Absolutely.
that you should look at. So, what do you guys think until now? Do you have any questions, any concerns, any curiosities? I will be glad to hear them out. Feel free to even call 801 sorry
448
801
6363, option
yeah,
3.
option 3. Call in, you can ask
We
me.
have a little
Maybe
header.
you're just starting, maybe you're a company driver that you want to talk. Let's have a talk. We can talk, all three of us, and actually give you some good advice, some good information. Maybe tell us your story too at the same time,
Absolutely.
and maybe figure out a solution for you properly live. It's not a problem. As long as I said all the time, and I said it to Vitaly, and I said it to a lot of people that I talk on a daily basis, one thing that I'll never gonna ever charge you, at least me personally, Alex, is information. If I can help you with an information, why not?
Yeah,
Doesn't hurt my
100%.
mouth. I don't have a limited number of words per day, so I can do it.
No, absolutely. And if you guys do want to learn, more, you guys can get more information on our website, and you can like fill in the forms and get all that stuff emailed to you, and then it basically creates like a contact, and then Kevin will get in touch with you guys. When you do speak with Kevin, ask him, be upfront, just ask him for driver settlements. I don't know if there are there chats, or is my chat just let me refresh it and see if it works. Seems like sometimes it goes down. Nonetheless, yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, talk to Kevin. Ask him for a driver settlement, report, because these are the same reports you guys are going to get. And ours is they're super simple because they usually fit on 1 or 2 pages. It has like all your expenses, all your income. Here's your gross. Here's your net. Everything's really straightforward. If it's any more complicated than that, then why should it be? it should be a lot simpler. But if it's any more complicated than that, you're working with some. Not everything's as clear as it could be. Basically, just kind of put it out there. Lord Kevin, welcome.
No worries, Kevin.
Thank you for stopping by, man. Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, definitely get to
Yeah.
our website, aftdispatch.com. At the top, you guys can click the lease on. It doesn't obligate you to anything. It just sends us over your information. We'll call you. We'll have a nice, good chat, and ask him your questions, things like that. Get everything answered. He'll send you stuff in writing. So this isn't just like all on, not just words or handshakes or whatever. Everything will be done just like everywhere else. We're a trucking company, 100% owner operator fleet, exclusive, 100%. Yeah, working with you guys, and then again, carriers and owner operators work with the same dispatchers, so it works out really well. If you guys do have any questions, certainly give us a call, 801-448-6363, extension 3. So definitely, if you guys have any questions or anything like that for Alex and I, please do drop them in the comments there. Definitely thank you so much for that. And while you're at it, if you get a second, hit the like button. That'd be awesome. That'll really help the video. Really do appreciate it. So sounds like you kind of covered quite a bit there, Alex, didn't you?
Yes, but there's still some stuff. That's why I wanted to start pretty early because there's
There's a
still
lot.
some stuff that
There's a lot for
yes, because
owner ops.
basically the subject is very very sensitive,
James
and
West, thank you.
a wrong step can lead you in a very very bad spot. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm trying to offer this information so people can get it, and maybe I know verbally explained my reach a little bit better to most of the people
Mm-hmm.
because it's much better to understand it when somebody tells it to you directly. And the next thing I wanted to state is so basically now we know what are the green flags, what are the red flags of an owner operator, and how it looks like. Okay, but now you're an owner operator, you got your own truck, and you don't know what to do. You should lease on or you should open your own MC. Well, that depends on you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll explain exactly why. Starting as as a lease on owner operator, it's true that you're generally going to make slightly less money than the guy that opens up his own MC. Maybe not initially. Like initially, especially in this market, you might make slightly more just because as a new carrier in the market, your market is going to be super limited due to the brokers not working with you because your MC is too new. But let's say after a year, yes, you'll make slightly less money than the guy that has his own MC. But of course, with the since you're paying a little bit more, of course you're gonna have a little bit more services because
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have, as I said, you're gonna have accounting, you're gonna have safety, you're gonna have dispatch, you're gonna so basically less paperwork and less headaches and less risk at the same time. So you're paying for something. So yeah, you're not making the same amount of money because you have much more much more benefits. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
And then you might ask, okay, I don't want to do all the paperwork. I don't want to go to pay everything and take care of all the paperwork and look for my own loads and do my accounting and do all of that. And a coolant like popped this morning in I-40. I get a real mechanic. Yeah, those are the ones that we hate them, but they happen all the time, Kevin. Unfortunately,
This is where you
that's
need the money
trucking, and
set
that's how
aside.
it's always gonna be.
Trucks will always break, guys. Got to have that money set
Yeah.
aside.
Yes, sir. So let's say you decide that okay, I don't want to have all the headaches for the beginning. Maybe yeah, and this is a very smart thing to do to accept and to be aware of the fact that you cannot know everything, especially at the beginning. Like like be okay with it. There's nothing to be ashamed of to not know an entire business in your first months. I mean, it makes total sense. And you want to lease on. Okay, how do you find a good carrier? Well, there's this magic thing called internet that we are everybody on right now that you can do a lot of research on it. And to be honest, the best way, this is just my personal opinion, you're unloading and loading all day in facilities, you're stopping in truck stops all day.
Sorry about that.
Talk with truckers. You see maybe you see a guy that has his own. You see a guy in a truck stop park. Maybe he looks friendly. Maybe he's already talking with somebody. You let him finish talking with that guy and say, "Hey, look, I just started. I would like to lease on. Do you have any, any recommendations? Do you know any good guys that will actually do a good job?" They will tell you. because they can't wait for somebody to ask them to, so they can either complain about the carrier that they mistreated them, so you know who to avoid, or brag about, oh my god, my dispatcher is bringing me 20,000 a week and 10,000 and 7 and 5 and so go on, because that's how it is. That's the thing. So I think the best way is to ask properly, ask truckers, because the truckers will tell you if something bad happened. That's the first thing they're gonna tell you. And if he's getting treated well and he's making money, exactly what he's gonna tell you. Of course, he's gonna inflate those money because everybody likes to brag. But as long as if a person is really happy and he tells you that he was working with them for like 3 years or 4 years, generally, not all the time, it's not a rule, but generally it should be a good company. And after that, you can, do more research on that company to see if they have a better history or something, and you can see a lot of stuff on it. All right. After you found out, let's say you made your list, 10, 15 companies, you start calling them, giving them quotas, present your values, tell them, look, I can do all the 48 states. I'm not some South only driver or some Florida only driver. I do all the 48 states. I stay 2 weeks OTR. I'm a hard worker. I have payments on my truck and I want to make money. I want to hustle so I can get rid of this expense and start actually making good money. And that's probably the kind of mentality that you have to have, especially at the beginning. You're not going to be able to run 3 states if you just bought a semi. You're going to put yourself out of business by yourself. You can bump into the best care with the best dispatcher. You're still going to put yourself out of business if you're going to hold 3 states, because you're going to have, I don't know, somewhere around 2,000. Some of them I've heard 2,000. I heard 3,000 a month payments. I've heard even 4,000 a month payments, which is crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, I've heard higher. Believe it or not.
I mean,
Believe it or not.
I'm talking properly recently. I actually
Yeah.
talked with a guy probably Friday. He had 3,200 payments on his truck a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high. That's 900. That's between $800 and $900 a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. So that's the thing. When you have those kind of things, you have to hustle. You can't be the picky guy who, oh, I don't want to go there because it's cloudy. For real, you can't do that. But we already talked about that last week, so I'm not gonna go into it again. Um, all right. So you basically you had your list. You contact everybody. You remember those red flags and green flags that I told you earlier. Do the math. Take your time to take the decision. You take the decision and you commit to it fully. If you commit on like till like half, I don't know, you do, some people and then you stop. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna create yourself a bad reputation towards maybe a good carrier, and it's not gonna look good for either of you. So it's no point. Like, take your time better. Don't rush for the first attracting thing that you see.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush for it. Wait, calculate, do your research, do the research again. Maybe there's something that you missed. Take a very good decision. Maybe even consult yourself with another person. Like, look, I found this, this, and this. These guys are offering me that. These guys are offering me that. What do you think? What do you think is gonna be the best? Get a second opinion. You don't have to listen to them, but even maybe like a portion of their opinion might be something that you haven't noticed. So it's good to consult yourself with somebody else too. All right, and then we jump a little bit on the independent owner operator responsibilities and duties. In terms of responsibilities, basically, you should handle your plates all the time, as I mentioned earlier. Um, IFTA filling, factoring, dispatching, fuel card management. Basically, this would be your main concerns as an owner operator. If you're going to lease on, most of those will be offered by the companies you're going to lease on. If you open your own MC, take in mind that those all of them are going to be your responsibilities. And if you hire another person, you're just gonna add at the end of that list that I've just said, employee. You're still gonna have the same responsibilities. Only that, yeah, you're not gonna do the physical work, but you're still gonna pay for it. It's not that if you hire somebody to take care of them, you're not gonna pay them. You're still gonna pay them, but you're gonna pay the guy who works for that too. Right. Another thing that is very, very important. I mean, that is important for both sides. Even if you lease on, if you open your own MC, is building your capital. Build up a financial cushion until, even after you started rolling, you leased on and you have open your own MC. Don't jump into those money. Maybe you had 2, 3 good weeks. You made some nice profits. Don't jump into them right away.
Hmm.
Put, if you can, almost everything on the side until you know that you're stable. My transmission breaks tomorrow. Okay, I'm mad, but I can cover it. I'm not gonna go out of business. I'm gonna have to, money for food for another month or two.
Hmm.
Like, prepare yourself in advance. Like, look, don't just think about the day of tomorrow. Think about it the next month, in 2 months, in 3 months.
Yeah, there's definitely got to
Think
be a lot
ahead.
of money there. A lot.
Yes,
A lot of people
because go
don't
ahead.
do enough. They don't save enough, right? Like they don't set aside enough.
Hmm.
Also, it's not just cash. Have credit. Establish your credit. Establish business credit if possible. That's not easy.
I was
So,
actually looking. There was a kid that is also doing YouTube. I forgot his name. He's much younger than me, and he's doing fantastic. Man. Like, it's actually, I've been watching him properly last week. I'll eventually mention it later if I find him.
mhm.
That guy started. I mean, he had some help at the beginning. That's true, because otherwise you could not be able to make it at 22 years old or 23. But
Are you talking about the
he does.
TikTok star, the young guy?
No, no, no.
No.
He's slightly smaller streamer. He's a
Hmm.
smaller YouTuber. He has like
Okay.
pretty much same as our level
Okay.
on YouTube. The thing is, what he does is all the time, every single load that he holds, 30% of the net of
Hmm.
that load goes aside all the time.
You have to.
And when he gathers enough money, like let's say he puts a considerable amount of money, he uses it as a down payment to buy another truck and put another driver. And he does that continuously and continuously. Of course, this is on a bigger scale, and you have to be very, very responsible with that. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you
Hmm.
that, yeah, it's a good idea. It's a little bit risky, it's true, but the fact, like, what I'm trying to point is his ethics of always putting 30% on the side is a very healthy thing to do, not only for buying a truck, but even for your repairs, or maybe, I don't know, maybe your truck breaks down, a major breakdown, your truck stays in shop for a month. What you're gonna do in that month? You're
Yeah.
not gonna eat. You're still gonna
Yeah.
have
If
to
you're.
eat. You're still gonna have to pay
Yeah.
your bills at home, school for your daughter, for your son, and everything.
Try to have
So
20
you're still gonna
grand
have a
set
lot of
aside
expenses.
for maintenance and repair.
Yeah,
It up and down depends on a truck. I mean, obviously, if you got a new truck under warranty, you're not going to have as many repairs, and the majority of them are going to be covered by the warranty. So obviously, however, most of the people that we work with aren't going to come in with 2024, 2025 model year semi trucks. You're going to be working with 5-year-old trucks, 10-year-old trucks, and even older. Set aside money, 20,000 if you can. More is better.
yeah. Another thing that either as a leased on owner operator or with your own MC authority, another thing that you should really take in consideration is your dispatcher. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, we need to get rid of all those brokers and dispatching services and can pretty much everything that they cost them extra.
Hmm.
We need to get rid of everything." Okay, who's gonna do all that job? You have 24 hours. You're driving 10 hours a day. You think you have another 6, 7, 8, 9 hours to do those jobs too? No, you're not going to be able to. And you're going to say, "Oh my God, no, everything is so hard. Nobody's helping us." It's not going to work like that. Every service is there for a purpose and for a reason. Even brokers, for example. I'm going to open the stop and you guys are going to hate me. Those brokers have a very good purpose. Yes, not all of them are nice people. Completely agree with you, but they're there for a reason. Imagine, instead of reaching that broker that you, with maybe if you're unlucky, you reach him in half an hour, you maybe are trying to find Mrs. Jeannie from the customer side instead of reaching the broker. Reach Mrs. Jeannie, but maybe for the next 3 hours she's gonna be in cafeteria scrolling on YouTube Shorts. So basically, you're gonna have to reach that lady that has close to no desire of talking with you because she knows you have no other choice than going to her.
Hmm.
So that's the thing. The brokers, even though, yes, not all of them are professional, not all of them are okay. There are some of them that do very, very nasty and shady stuff. I completely agree, but they have their purpose. And same is for the dispatcher. I can tell that's probably from my personal point of view. I had days where my schedule is like I'm working 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday when I was working on the dispatch side, properly to catch the earliest of the market. That means I'm basically doing 10 hours a day. You're driving 10 hours. I'm looking for loads for 10 hours a day. If you do your job and my job, you're basically going to sleep 4 hours, mathematically speaking. Let's say if you combine them, okay, you sleep 6 hours. You're going to be exhausted after a month or two. Yes, there are people that can dispatch them, and you can literally dispatch yourself if you run in one state or two states. Yeah, if you run two states, your market is so small and limited that you'll be able to dispatch yourself. But you when you do half the country or all 48 states, you're never going to be able to dispatch yourself correctly. And never underestimate the value of a good dispatcher. Like a good experienced dispatcher, like the work of a dispatcher is not something that it's not like any other job. You don't learn it in a month or in 2 weeks. You get a 2 weeks training. No, I was in training after a year.
Yep. We always have a
Dispatcher, you
dispatcher.
can become a decent dispatcher after 18 months.
Yeah, I was going to say 1.5 years. Yep, that's it. Alex, I'm going to actually interject and actually say something that kind of add to what you were saying earlier, because I think you brought up a really good point that if you're out there, you have to expend a lot of time, a lot of energy in booking these loads, talking to lots of brokers, dialing a lot of numbers, right? You have to go through that monotony of good load popped up, call it, be the first one, go through all the frustration of losing deals, of having to be on hold, knowing that somebody beat you to it on the other line. And oftentimes it's the dispatcher because we just dial the number while you're fumbling with your phone, things like that. So what normally will happen is that Alex said, "Hey, you can't do that. You can. So you can, and some guys can even do a pretty okay job. The problem is that in every case, you're going to settle, and that's going to be the problem." What's your guys' outlook on Q2? Okay, Q2 is definitely going to look better than Q1. Put it that way. Yeah, Lord Kevin. You're going to leave money on the table every single time. You guys are going to settle. You guys are going to fold. Brokers are counting on that. Because the mental game, I don't care if you're who you are, if you're David Goggins or Andrew Tate, like the mental game's got to be really up there because you've just been busting your butt working. Who knows how many weeks on a road you've been away from family. The whole you're alone, constantly just secluded, and you're trying to do a whole other job. Of a dispatcher is like a whole different position. You're trying to do that because you have a driver position, which is you're driving, but you also have the manager position, which is you. And now you're trying to add the dispatch position. And then you also want to add like the accounting department, be the accounting department as well. Maybe some of you guys, have helpers or you're married or someone's taking care of a part of that. But even then, you're trying to take on too much. So what inevitably will happen is you will fold every single time. You will fold, you will leave money on a table, and you continuously do that over and over again. You're going to leave a ton of money there, way more than a dispatcher. Even if I charge you guys 10% for the dispatch service alone, you're still going to leave more money on a table than that. Now, 10% is kind of tough in this market, and I do agree. But at the same time, even if you just break even and you don't make one extra red cent, but you had to put in, let's say, 90% less effort into obtaining that, or 95% less effort into obtaining that good load, and you make exactly the same money, and the dispatcher gets paid, and then you get paid, that's still a good deal. But to be honest, you could do better than that. You can do better with it. If you're in that kind of situation, don't wait. Give us a call. Let's get you straightened out. But I'm just trying to go to an extreme example. You cannot be the driver. You cannot be the dispatcher. You cannot be the accounting department and the safety department and the janitor and the coffee maker all at the same time and do everything just for the sake of saving money, and then having the expectation that you are performing and firing on all cylinders. You are not. You'll never will be. You will never be efficient that way. So yeah.
And to give a very great example, I started working with you a good couple of months ago. Since then, I've stopped dispatching because I know myself, like doing, like talking with all you guys and helping Vitaly and doing all this other side of the business. Basically, I would not be able to dispatch at the same level that as I was doing a year ago.
Yeah, you get rusty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true that I'm adapting pretty quick, but I'm still not gonna do the same level. Like maybe I do like I'm not gonna do 50% of the other guy's level. I'm gonna do maybe 85 or 90% of it, which is still good,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna do the same quality that my colleagues are doing, for example.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna be able to do pull same numbers and same
because they're
everything.
spending more time, right?
Yeah,
On
because
these
they're
things. Yeah.
spending more time, and it's not only that, but in dispatch, I remember even when I was a dispatcher, when I was taking a week off and I was coming back, it was like, oh my god, this is new world. Like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like the market shifted. I don't know. California is not good anymore. There are no more watermelons in Florida,
Yeah,
and
it's
everything
pretty
changes.
intense.
And then that's in 1 week, guys. That's in 1 week. So that's the thing. Like even for me, that if I stop for a while, like for a week, and then I restart again, I can do a very good job. Imagine that you have to drive in the same time. Like, you're not gonna be able to book yourself properly. You're gonna be able to book yourself properly. You can. There are some people, very few people. Like you can even like it's less than 1% of the truckers.
Mhm.
They can book themselves on a decent level, decent to good level. They can book themselves like that. But most of the times, they're either helped by a broker because they're doing a very good job. I've seen some cases that the broker knows that, oh wait, this guy is top-notch condition. He has everything. He does everything by the book. He does everything perfectly. So he gives them a starting high rate, so they don't have to negotiate to keep their work rolling. That's extremely rare. That's the goddamn unicorn. Don't dream on that. You're gonna find a herd of unicorns. So that's the thing. So keep in mind that you're never gonna be able to do the same quality and the level of work that a guy did for 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years straight. You're never gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, it's just
I
that's
would
not
never be able
possible.
to drive like you guys do.
Yep.
I'll probably stay 35 minutes just to back into a door.
That's
Maybe
I
even
mean
more.
that's just if we're being honest, right? So
Yeah, no, I generally suck at parking.
gotcha. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. Like if straight trucks I could drive, I just can't imagine driving a semi with a trailer. I never have. I got into this industry having never driven that, didn't even have a class B. But I drove straight trucks, things like that. But some people just naturally do it. Naturally just comes easy, makes sense. The counter steering works. Um, in fact, counter steering, like it's the same thing. Like those of you guys who ride motorcycles, like I ride motorcycles, for example, and those of you guys know when you try to explain to someone that you have to push left in order to go right, and push right in order to go left, doesn't make sense until you do it. So it's the same thing in this. Sorry about that. It's the same thing with this. You have to either going to be good at it or you're not. You can learn it. I'm sure that could be taught, but there are some guys who are going to be absolute naturals. Like Kevin, for example, he prides himself on being able to drive anything with wheels and gears. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure if you stick Kevin in a tank and give him a 3-minute intro, he'll probably drive the tank too. So it wouldn't surprise me. No, fantastic. Fantastic, Alex. Yeah. You guys have any questions? Alex, did you have some more stuff you wanted to add?
The last thing I wanted to add, just like as a quick note, because I pretty much explained you, like in minimal details, because to properly go this into very deep, it would be more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
The last thing that I wanted to add is, compared to leasing on, if you want to open up your own MC, we're talking about a much higher fund. Like you need much more funds, much more reserves after you buy your truck. You're not gonna need only like $5 or $6 or $7,000 as a fund in your back, or 10. You're gonna need much more because every lease is gonna be on you. everything is gonna be on you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on your own, literally.
No, absolutely. No, it's definitely a lot. You will be on your, you will have, some support, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to make sure to include this gentleman here. He actually texted us. He wasn't able to chat in the chat, so he sent us a different way. You guys can do that as well. You guys can call and text us. You can text your questions, things like that, to Alex as well. He said, "Sorry, I can't chat on your live that I've been watching. Been an owner operator for 5 years, but my DOT number is 1 year old now with no inspections. But I just had a new entry in audit. I assume he passed it. If you need help with that, we can send you some info. But since you already got through it, you're probably fine. Parked the truck last year since no good market and since, basically not a good market, and been a company driver to pay my own authority dues. So I want to kind of better understand what that means. And then with your experience in the market, when do you think I should enter the market?" Okay. So my understanding is that you've passed your DOT audit. Fantastic, congrats on that, and that should show up on your safer. I wish I had your MC number. I wish I had maybe your DOT number or company or some information. Pull it up and take a look, because if you don't have an MC yet, you want to make sure to add that onto your application. Make sure you have that, since you're aging it. Your DOT, you want to age your MC as well. So make sure that's the case. If your insurance isn't active on it, then you're not aging it, basically, because it's not authorized at any point. You have to have an active insurance policy. So
I mean, probably that's what he was referring, that he is sustaining his owner operator costs. Probably that's what. There are I've heard people that are doing that. And to ask properly this gentleman's question, it's a very, very good question. When to start? If your case is that you also have your MC open for the same amount of time, like almost a year or past a year, and you pass your new entry audit and everything, you have no inspection, that's going to be a little bit of a hiccup for you.
that's
But it
fixable.
can be solved.
Yeah.
But when? Even now.
Yeah,
The
even now.
market is
Depends.
affordable.
Yeah.
The market can be ran. I'm going to be straight honest with this. The market can be ran if you have at least, like, if you have payments on a truck, slightly harder, but it's still doable. Especially if you're 6 months plus. If you're 1 year plus, it's definitely doable. If you have even if you have payments on a truck and trailer, if you already have that covered, 100% you can make money.
Yeah, it depends. I mean,
Depends what your expectancy
depends
is
where.
in terms of trucking. Because if you expect to make $1 million a year, that's not gonna happen.
On the other hand, he says, parked the truck last year since no good market, and been a company driver to pay my own authority due. So again, I don't know what that means. Is he saving money to pay for his IRP, which could be in the thousands of dollars? Is he saving money to cover certain other expenses? Does this mean that the truck has an active insurance policy covering your equipment under your MC, so your MC is actually aging, because he is a company driver and has been, and he parked his truck, so he's driving a company truck. So it just depends where his position is. I'd love to speak with you. You could do it on live or call me anytime. I see you have an 801 number, so you're a local Utah. More than happy to talk with you, see if we can kind of come to terms and figure out what is the best way to go for you. Because if you have an aged MC that's 1 year old, you've been paying your insurance, everything's fine. Honestly, depending on how much you're getting paid currently as a company driver, maybe you're getting paid fantastic money, and this is the time to write that out. But if not, why not go out and run? Or maybe you don't have a trailer. May want to talk to Alex. He recently made some connections online, found some stuff that's been working for people. He's been sending them like links to the websites.
Quite well.
So whatever we can do, we can help you out, and hopefully you get that MC. If you haven't done so, do that. But yeah, get in touch with us at some point. 801-448-6363. What I would do is actually on our website. Here, I'll show you. If you just go to our website, since you're on the dispatch side, just click to learn more. It'll look a little different on mobile, and just these 4 things: name, MC number. If you don't have an MC, just put like zeros in there or something. It doesn't matter. And then it'll send us the info. Or our contact form. Either way, I'll get it. And then we can kind of go through and figure out what we're going to be covering. So there's that. Awesome. Alex, so what do you think? Did you cover kind of everything you wanted to cover in your story? You have anything else you wanted to look into?
Pretty much, yes. And there are, as I said, there are many, many details which I can get into, but we will not end today, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it a little bit shorter. If if you still have uncertainties, if you I don't know, maybe you're shy to call in live, or you can't properly chat on the text because you're driving. Because I know some of you are listening to us on your phone while you're driving, and you're just watching, and that's it. It's not the most safe thing to do. I would not recommend it to watch us while you're driving. You can listen to us, but you know, look at the road and stay safe.
Yeah, definitely. And
That's
there's
one
always a
thing.
replay if anything. We're not doing anything crazy on the video side anyway, so
Yeah, and you
no
can
worry.
still hear us. And most of like
Yeah,
80% of our content is audio,
yeah,
basically, because
audio
we're
based.
explaining and talking a lot. So yeah. Anyway, if you have questions, if you maybe are at the beginning and you might have heard something that ringed in your head, oh, I'm doing this, or oh, why I'm not doing this, I'm not having this, or I think I'm getting taken advantage of, or I found a company and I'm not sure, is it good, is it not good,
Hmm.
whatever it is, or you're a company driver and you want to get on the road and you have a capital but you don't know if it's enough, or you don't know what to do and how to do it. Give us a call, let's talk, let's discuss more details. I'll help you as much as I can, I'll guide you as much as I can with all my knowledge. If there's something I don't know, Vital is definitely gonna help you out.
Yeah, we'll
He's
just you get them connected to the king of owner operatorship. That's Kevin. That's all. As simple as that.
yeah,
I'll be upfront. He knows more about owner operators and that whole operation more than me and Alex combined. I have always
correct.
focused on the carrier side, strictly 100% carriers. That's why it's such a good combination, because we have a really strong lease owner operator operation and a dispatch service for carriers. So those combined, you have best of both worlds. So cool, man. Well, we're coming up to closer to the latter part of our show, and I had a couple of things I wanted to cover here that I think are going to be also, and this is kind of off of the main topic of our on our the thumbnail that we used today. Let me take a look here. I'm going to switch over here so we can. It's a little easier. What I wanted to cover with you guys is the EPA part of this. I've made a video some time back, earlier in the year, where I was kind of saying that 2024 is going to be the year of basically safety and the year of environmental, like EPA changes and regulations for the trucking industry. More than ever, we're going to start seeing changes, and moving forward into 2025, 2026, and moving forward with the years. Now, what we got going on right now is that the EPA has announced their strongest ever greenhouse gas emission standards for heavy duty trucks, which includes basically mid-level and basically Class 8 trucks. Okay, now the new rule applies to model years 2027 through 2032, and there is a little graph. I didn't share it here with you guys, but we'll look over it. The majority doesn't really kick in until about 2030 for sleeper cab tractor trailers. So you guys don't have to worry about that till 2029, and that's going to be moving forward from there. And then only by 2030, will 6% of the entire industry have to be, with the phase 2 carbon emission levels where they're going to have to set us up. But here's how it goes. And this is where the question is, can we even afford such things, right? Going electric and having these very, very strict standards. The EPA says that the new emission standards will avoid approximately 1 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions from 2027 through 2055. So we're really looking past many, many years going into the future. 1 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas sounds like a lot. And I'm sure it is. But, I also think that if we have some of the world's wealthy just maybe park their Lear jets or whatever, their private jets for a weekend, maybe that'd probably save a good $500 million, right? Something like that. I might be off on numbers completely. It just seems like that we're squeezing the wrong industries. And hence, trucking groups, including the American Trucking Associations, the ATA, and surprisingly, as well as the Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, OIDA, they've spoken out against the EPA final rule. Now, why I say surprisingly is because normally the ATA and OIDA, they're butting heads, they're against stuff. And here they are, they're coming together. ATA generally deals with the larger companies, very large fleets, although the ATA will tell you, no, we also represent the smaller owner operators, etc. And they're small, but clearly their demographic, the way that their companies are broken down, the companies that they represent, generally speaking, are large companies. OIDA, on the other hand, mainly deals with smaller trucking companies. It's right in the name, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association. Okay, they're both speaking out against this EPA final rule. And what they're saying is that the ATA argues that the new emissions targets are unachievable and that they'll harm the supply chain and the U.S. economy. I tend to agree. What do you guys, let us know in the comments. I mean, what do you guys think? I'd love to get your views. We have plenty of people in the chat. Let's get an idea. What do you guys think? Would this, are the EPA's emissions unachievable? Would they harm the supply chain? Would they harm the U.S. economy? OIDA said that the new rule is an assault on small business truckers. Okay, so small carriers, the very baseline of our customers. You guys, OIDA is saying that it would actually directly impact you guys. Okay, trucking groups are concerned that the charging infrastructure needed to support the trucking industry's transition to electric vehicles isn't yet available. Again, I'll leave links to all these stories. You guys can go through them, but this is the gist of it. I generally summarize these for me and turn them into bullet points, and that way I can talk with you guys about these in a more straightforward manner. So it works for me. So the biggest hit's going to be starting with 2027 with light, heavy vocational trucks. So we're talking about your Ford F-150s, Toyota, let's say Tundras, or if they're looking at maybe more diesel, then maybe your XDs, your 350s, your Chevy Silverado HDs and stuff like that, right? Then they're jumping into the medium heavy vocational. So those are going to be your what? I don't even know what a medium heavy vocational truck is. What is that? A 3500? The DEF system sucks. You're right. It certainly does. Lord Kevin is on one today, man. He got a breakdown. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you had that coolant pop on in Arizona. But if coolant system is going to pop, they're usually in Arizona. But I think it was probably had some telltale signs because we're not in summer yet. You know what I mean? But it is Arizona, so I go take it. Maybe a hot day. I certainly wish you the very best there, and I hope the repairs weren't too much for the roadside assistance there with the mechanic. So hopefully that worked out. Yeah, so they're really gonna go in. So 2027, they're expecting the percent reduction from the phase 2 CO2 emission standards. So they expect a 17% reduction in the amount of particulate matter that we're going to be that's going to be coming out of your exhaust pipe. 17% for light heavy vocational and 13% for medium heavy, right? And then the next one up that's going to be actually entering the picture are day cab tractors. They're going to be starting in 2028, so that's a little bit closer, 8% reduction. Then the next one's going to be heavy duty, heavy vocational and day cab tractors by 2029 at 12%, and it just gets worse from there. So, for example, by 2032, 60% of light heavy vocational trucks, and which would probably include like pickup trucks, things like that. 60% of like F-150s, F-250s are going to be probably some battery operated remote control connected, I don't know, running on the God particle or something. I have no idea what's going to happen in 2032, but they don't want anything but water coming out of that tailpipe by that time. We should be able to drink it from with a glass of water from the tailpipe. So, not a lot of proponents for it, except the government, but certainly a lot of people in the industry who are against it, including OIDA as well as the ATA, American Trucking Association. So definitely a lot can be said there. We'd love to hear from you guys about that as well. What do you think, Alex? What do you think?
Summarizing, like, if the trucks can go green, I mean, if you put it on a very, very far spectrum, technically they could.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have the technology, half of the technology to be more precise. We have half of the technology. The problem is going to be we have to find and improve that technology by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we have sustainability on it, durability, cost of manufacturing, cost of purchasing,
Mm-hmm.
cost of repairs. It has to be a very, very major factor. Because, yeah, okay, you're going to spend less on fuel. I completely agree. but I think people would rather spend, I don't know, $20,000 more in fuel in a year than do a down payment of $10,000 for a repair, an extra $10,000. Because if you pay an entire sum, like a big sum at the same time, will hit you much harder. Even though, yeah, if you look at it on a yearly basis, it might look better for you, but you have to change your whole plan, your whole economic plan. So if you ask me, with big companies, it will work. It's gonna be harder for smaller companies, and that's pretty much up to there. I'm actually very concerned about it because basically
Hmm.
it's in the power of those who are gonna basically push this through. If they're gonna make it viable for the small owner operators and the small fleets to actually be able to operate properly.
I think that's kind of the bigger one. The majority of the industry consists of small owner operators, and if you're going to set restrictions that will impede their ability to do business, any sort of policies that do that will affect me, will affect you, will affect 99 point, I would say maybe 98% of our company, of the people that we serve. We focus on the small
Mhm.
companies. We literally, because that's the underrepresented. So it's the best market for us, but it's also we're the best service. We're to serve that market for them, because there's no point for us to jump in and try to take over companies with 5,000 trucks. It doesn't matter, because those guys are not the underrepresented companies. The ones who are the smaller companies, and these types of policies, they seem to me at least, and to at least the ATA as well as OIDA, to be restricting your or owner operator, small carrier, small mom and pop trucking companies, their ability to do business. You know what I mean, with the way. So kind of
Yeah, and that's
tough.
the thing. Like, if they're gonna push even further to green and not offering a possibility to a smaller carrier to maintain itself and everything, it's gonna be chaos.
Hmm.
Because we also have to take in consideration that, if my numbers are correct, I think it used to be like 40% of the total truckers are small, even like single owner operator, or maybe a small carrier, couple of trucks.
Yeah, most of them are very small. Absolutely. And that actually, this is a
That's the
perfect
thing,
segue.
and I mean, if you cut like right now, like, is how much the percentage, like, well, like, one depends. Like, if you put an average, it's somewhere on one truck per load, more or
Hmm.
less, right now. But if you put an average, I know, in between Florida and Wisconsin and all the other stuff, is somewhere on there. If you cut half of those trucks, basically, like, they're gonna be like outages in stores and in factories. The factories will have less work volume. That means they're gonna fire a lot of people. A lot of people will lose their jobs. So it's gonna be a train that is gonna collapse into a very, very scary thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
And not only for truckers. Like, this is not a bad news for truckers only. Like, this is the bad news for everybody, even
yeah.
for the, I don't know, for the Walmart employee, for the granny that is at home that wants to do her groceries and maybe wants to take her medicine that will not come in time, sick people and everything. Like, it will affect everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of set this up that way too, with the way the story is, because I wanted to kind of segue into the last story. There was one more thing I wanted to talk to you guys towards the end of the video, but we'll see if we have time for that, or we'll leave it for next week. But what this was is it was an article, and I started to kind of dig in and look at more of like the sources and the organization that did the study and all the stuff. So this is an article about the cost of fully electrifying the U.S. trucking fleet, and this is what they're trying to do. And then they broke down the costs. And what was interesting about this was they broke down all the costs, and then they took out the cost of electrifying the actual fleet itself, because they did not include it, and we still ended up at $1 trillion. It's right at it's a lot of zeros. That's one with a
It's
lot
too
of
many
zeros,
zeros.
way too many zeros. I mean, I don't remember as a kid growing up, or as a young adult, adolescent, ever hearing about trillions, or you barely heard about billions. And being a millionaire was a big deal. And nowadays, it just makes you middle class. Apparently, it's incredible how much inflation has eaten up our money, our dollar amount. Oh, yeah, Alex, you're there. Oh, I guess the system
Yeah.
was freezing up. It looked like you fell asleep, and I was like, maybe.
No, no, I'm
My,
still here. I'm still here. I
yeah.
was just listening.
No, it was just lagging. The system was lagging, and kind of
Oh,
froze
okay,
you up
okay.
with your eyes closed. And I said, I put the men to sleep. I put the men to sleep. So,
No, definitely not. And that's the thing. Like, they have to do it in a way, because if they're gonna cut like 40% of the truckers there on the road, it's gonna wreak a lot of havoc.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, there are two options that they can do it, and one is much cheaper. It's not going to cost trillions of dollars. It's just I don't know, mass a very big number of researchers and find a way to filter out the emissions instead of eliminating the diesel itself. I know that we're not gonna have diesel for an eternity. For another couple of 100 years, we're still gonna have it,
Well,
at least.
what they had here was there was a study done by the Clean Freight Coalition, CFC, and they found that the cost would be nearly $1 trillion. That the cost includes building charging infrastructure and upgrading the electrical grid to handle extra demand. Electrifying specifically heavy-duty trucks would be the most expensive part of this project, was what they found, as these trucks can be 2 to 3 times more expensive than diesel-powered trucks in the first place. So the industry doesn't really have much of an option out in that sense. But when you're dropping this kind of money, it's pretty ridiculous. The Clean Freight Coalition is a group of stakeholders in the trucking industry, including truck manufacturers, shippers, electric utilities, and environmental groups. So basically everybody but us, right?
Yeah, but it will definitely be a complete collapse, and I can tell exactly why. It's very simple. So basically, an electric truck will cost more, correct? Let's look at properly the semis, the big semis, the heavy industry. Right, so let's say right now, how much is the new one? 200,000?
Okay, let's see.
A brand new truck. So a brand new truck right now is 200,000. An electric one will definitely be somewhere around in the range of 400 maybe
Yeah,
450.
2 to 3 times.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's say 2 times more. Let's be very optimistic. 2 times. Let's say it's $450,000. That means instead of having $3,000 or $4,000 payments a month, you're gonna have $8,000 payments a month. In order to be able to sustain that kind of those kind of payments, you have to make much more money. In the way to make much more money, the rates will have to pay higher. If the customers have to pay higher, they're gonna raise their prices. If they're gonna raise their prices on their products, people are gonna need more money to buy the products, and they'll ask for more money because they're gonna basically
It's endless.
they're gonna make a continuous loop of inflation until it's gonna go to a kind of economical
We're
collapse.
literally going to end up financing
I mean, we're
hamburgers and
already there.
take a mortgage out on breakfast.
You're just gonna accelerate it. Right now, it's on a decent, like slow, semi-decent phase.
Yeah,
It's
we'll be
gonna
looking
accelerate
back at
in the way
this,
that
thinking back in the good old days when, hamburger only cost
was $1.
$20, but because we'll be spending $250 for a ham sandwich or something, it'll be.
No, but I remember first time I came into US, I went to McDonald's and I bought a full menu with $3, $3.50 I think it was, $3.50 or $4 it was.
See,
Like, good.
Kevin is saying too, it feels like inflation is past the point of no return. Everything is expensive. Yeah, absolutely. And what Alex is saying is that you just wait, Kevin. It's going to get worse. So,
I mean, it is already worse. The problem is it's gonna get worse faster. That's the real problem. 'Cause we're still gonna get
correct.
there sooner or later. We're still gonna get there, but the problem is when. Because if you get to that point in 40 years or 50 years, because inflation is something normal that will always happen in a country that spends more than it makes, and that's the problem with a lot of countries. That's the problem with USA. That's the problem with a lot of countries in Europe too, in Asia too. There's that problem too. They
Yeah.
spend more than they have. So how do they do that? How you spend more than you have? Basically, create more money, print more money. Printing more money creates more inflation.
Right. Great. Well, the U.S. is the king of doing that. We've created so much. We go out on credit so much as a country that we're basically at a point where we can't make our minimum credit card payment. Like if we turn that into a consumer credit card, we're barely scraping by. I'm 25 years old. Should have bought a house when I'm in elementary school. Yeah, man, you went completely wrong, man. What the hell? Didn't you know you're supposed to buy a house in elementary? You should have just locked in that rate. Oh man, you got jokes. That's awesome. That's
So when something breaks down, you definitely want to crack a joke or two because
oh
you're
man,
definitely not
yeah,
gonna be so happy.
yeah, because otherwise you want to cry,
Yeah.
So it's better to laugh than cry. Well, the cost of charging infrastructure would be at $620 billion. That's the cost of the infrastructure. This includes the cost of installing charging stations at truck stops, warehouses, and other locations where trucks are parked for long periods of time. Upgrading the electrical grid would cost an additional $370 billion, and this includes the cost of building new power plants, transmission lines, and substations. Now, the most important part I highlighted, I want to make sure I didn't forget this part. The article also says that the cost does not include the price of replacing diesel trucks with electric vehicles. Electric trucks can be 2 to 3 times more expensive than diesel trucks, so this could add a significant amount of the overall cost of electrification. This was an article from CDL Life. I'll leave that in the description box as well. So that's pretty intense. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, here we got Lord Kevin, who's going through, FOMO, thinking he missed out. He should have financed, got a mortgage when he was in elementary school. And we got guys, breaking down and barely being able to cover the cost of repairs. Some people don't know if this is the right time to jump into the industry. Yeah, it's again, guys, it's going to be just, where's my mouse? About earnings and about expenses. That's literally what it comes down to. Earnings and expenses. If your operating costs are low, I'll give you a real example. Won't give any names. Hopefully he's watching the show. One gentleman that we work with has extremely low operating costs. Okay. Plus, he's the driver of his own rig. Well, he's also the mechanic and all that. He can take care of stuff, right? So that goes a long way, being able to repair your own rig. The other thing is, since you're the driver, you're going to be more mindful about fuel consumption. You're going to feather the throttle. You're going to, take care of the truck a little bit better. Not like having company drivers. Sometimes, if those of you who've been around for a while, who've had company drivers, you know that everyone's different. Some guys will just live in your truck and take advantage of everything and then just dump it somewhere. Other guys will baby everything as if it's their own. So everyone's a little bit different. But when you're your own owner operator, you fix your own truck and you take care of everything so that your operating costs are low. His truck's paid off. His trailer's almost paid off. His plates are super cheap. He's out from Wyoming. The cab cars there are pretty inexpensive. He shops around for fuel with multiple fuel cards. After some time, he ended up getting a better deal through a different factoring company. So he's going to be continuously saving money there. He's super cool and easy to work with. So dispatch loves him, and he's got a really good dispatcher who's kicking butt every single time that they're booking loads and are doing a really good job working together. So it's a very symbiotic relationship when they're working together. On the other hand, you could have a guy who's argumentative, has got a big truck payment, and he's like eating out, including that because, hey, the government gives me a daily allowance or whatnot, so I should just, should have crab for breakfast or whatever, lobster for breakfast. So some people, they're not going to be coachable. Some people are going to argue with dispatch when dispatch is trying to move you around, get you out of a certain area. Hey, this is a good deal. Listen, this is going to be this is a positive thing. This is going to make your week. But if you keep fighting your dispatcher and if you keep arguing with them, then you're not going to have a good time, and then generally those people leave and say that was a really bad experience. That was a really, they're a really, really bad company and blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily about us, but just generally, that's just the attitude they might have towards that.
Yeah, I mean, the most common one that I hear is, oh, it's only $1.20 a mile? Oh, I'm hauling for free. They should put on the top on the Raycon, haul for free. No, you're not hauling for free. You're not working at Walmart. You're not paid hourly or daily or weekly. You work for yourself. You work for an average.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean yesterday, oh my God, so basically it's 120. So that's the average right now is somewhere around 220 a mile for a good trucker.
Mm-hmm.
So for 120, if you're hauling for free, for $3.50 a mile, you're stealing. So which one is worse, hauling for free or stealing?
That's the thing.
You're not doing neither of those.
Yeah.
Because you're working on average.
You saw that comment, huh?
Is the one that matters. You look at the end of the month. You start at the 1st of the month. You end at the 31st or 30th, depends on the month.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at all the loads that you've done. You put all the loaded miles over the empty miles. The empty miles, always calculate them at 85% because you're not going to have the same fuel consumption. Put all the miles, put your fuel consumption, put everything, and then you'll see how much you actually are making. You'll see how much you're making per mile. You'll see how much you're making per loaded mile, per total mile. What was your average fuel consumption? Not that you hold for 30 miles on a hill, you had 3 miles per gallon.
Yeah, it
That's
averaged
not your
out.
fuel consumption. And then you know, okay, I'm doing good. I'm not doing good. Okay, I'm doing good. That's perfect. Let's see how we can improve it. I'm doing bad. Okay, what I'm doing bad? Oh, I'm hauling only in Georgia and Florida. Okay, let's a little bit expand our territories. And the last thing I can actually say is trucking is a business treated accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, definitely run it as a business. I mean, trucking is a really tough business, very low margin, guys. So I know a lot of people think, oh, it's trucking, it's easy, this and that. It's actually, strategically, it's the toughest business because it's very paper heavy, paper laden, right? There's a lot of regulation, very low barriers to entry with very high operating costs with a very slim margin. I mean, all those things in combined, there's easier ways to make money. So you know what I mean? Like if like I got into trucking as a challenge to myself, and maybe because of a little bit of young, naivete, as they say, or stupidity, if you want to call it that. I didn't know, I got in. But if you have the choice, do something else. Don't do it. But if you enjoy trucking, if you like driving, if you like being a kind of a nomad, driving, putting a lot of miles on, running OTR, if you love that stressful life, if you like being kind of like a hermit mentality where you're good with being by yourself, you like being by yourself in a truck or truck stops or spending a lot of time, maybe get a lot of reading done or audiobook stuff like that. This might be perfect for you. There's a guy online right now, and I thought you were talking about him actually earlier, but this was a different guy. But he's all over the news right now, where he was a young guy, and he says, look, man, trucking's the best job you could possibly pick. He went to community college. It wasn't for him. He did a few semesters, quit, jumped in, got a CDL, started driving, started saving all this money. He doesn't have housing costs. He actually enjoys it. He started making YouTube videos and TikTok and all this other stuff, and combined his viewership, his following, or what do you want to call it, a little over 1 million people or something like that. I mean, how cool is that? That is awesome, and he's doing what he's enjoying, what he likes, and he's making money, and he's setting aside a ton of money. You know what I mean? And he's probably going to end up opening up his own company. I think I would, if I was in his shoes. He's already doing really,
Yeah, but
really
that's the
well.
thing. Like, if you love what you're doing, that's a very important thing. You have to love what you're doing. Let's see. RG. It was profitable corporation who would own it instead of outsource it. Okay. Struggle your whole life to maximize corporation profit. No, you can maximize your own profit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you if you're leased on, you're not gonna even if you're leased on, you're not gonna maximize somebody else's corporation profits if you know exactly your costs, because basically you're is same as working under your own MC but with less stress, slightly less money, slightly less stress, and as I mentioned earlier.
You
So
actually make more money first year. First year. So
first
caveat,
year
little
you make more
asterisk,
money,
first year.
but if you put it overall, like if you look at it on the 10 years, if you look at like on the actual future,
Yeah.
if you consider doing it for a long time, then yeah, you might make a little bit less money in 10 years,
Yep.
in a total of 10 years, but of course you're going to have less risk and less stress and headaches, as I said before. However, you're not going to inflate some corporation if you're going to work harder. That's why I was saying earlier, calculate your costs, calculate your operating costs, be open-minded about how you treat the business and everything, and do the best in your interests. Because me personally, as a dispatcher, I'll put it even in my perspective, I'm working on percentage. Okay, we
Thanks,
work on
Kevin.
percentage. We work for 7%. You don't make money. I don't make money either. Why would I want that?
Well, here's the thing. With when you're leased on as an owner, your first year as a carrier is going to be very difficult. You're going to work more than you would have as a company driver or a leased on owner operator under an established company, and you're going to pay more money, and you're going to gross less. So all in all, you're going to net way less, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. And statistically, you're probably going to go out of business. Okay. Now, assuming that you went through all that and everything and you survived and you're okay, and assuming that your goal is to run multiple trucks, grow, have some, a bigger, different company, or maybe you decide to in time lease on owner operators, in that scenario, bite the bullet, go with the carrier side. But if you're going to run one truck, or if you do want to run maybe a handful of additional trucks, but you are going to be heavily involved within the fleet and working with your people as a leased out owner operator, in that scenario, it will make sense as long as you're working with a strong outfit. So it has to be honest. You have to trust each other. They're not nickel and diming you. They're not screwing you over, right? That's hard enough to find as it is. But if you find companies like that, hey, toot my own horn. That's what we do. But if you find a company like that, then grow with them. But it just depends on what you're looking to do. I had a gentleman that I was texting back. And I just remembered and checked to get in touch with him in a text messages. And then I asked him, when's your MC? And he said on the 23rd. He's got a dry van. And he on the 23rd of February, his MC went active. So at this point, he's basically a month old. He's going to struggle this entire year. This is not going to be an easy time for him, at all. This is not going to be an easy time for him. But
Yeah.
I don't
The
know what
last
his,
thing you
what he
wanna
wants
do
to
in
do.
such bad times is being stubborn and wrongly economically informed.
Absolutely. And Alex, if you don't mind, the last thing I wanted to talk about, and I promised the gentleman today that I would cover, and mentally I knew I would leave this for the very end. Thank you for all the viewers, guys. I haven't asked this in a little while. Please hit the like button. We're gonna finish off real strong. So I wanted to talk really quickly with you guys about Hotshots, Alex's favorite Hotshots, guys.
I actually wanted to cover something on that.
Did
I
you?
actually wanted to talk something on that.
Looks
yes.
like we're gonna go late today.
Yeah. So I'll put it really simple. I've seen two different cases very, very often. That doesn't make any sense. I'll be very clear with you. I've seen a lot of LTL equipment like box trucks, Sprinter vans, so go on, aiming to go OTR, and semis with sleepers trying to do local. Guys, that's why Sprinter vans and box trucks and literally LTL equipment is made for local. Because it's easier to go through the cities, it's easier to park, it's easier to maintain, and most of the times if you do local, you work directly with the customer, and that's the only profitable way to work as an LTL a trucking company. If you buy a semi and you want to do local, it's same as, I don't know, hiring an orchestra to sing in your living room while you're cleaning your kitchen. Like you're overspending and overinvesting for something that you don't need. So if you don't want to go OTR, you want to be home every day, seeing your kids growing and seeing your wife as beautiful as she is, get an LTL. It's totally fine. I get it. Some people hate to be away from home, and this is not the job for everybody.
I'm gonna jump in here and just
do OTR.
I'm going to jump in here and just make a caveat. By upgrading from a box truck to a semi-truck will not make your wife better looking. I want to make sure people are aware that we're not saying that your spouse will be better looking if you get a bigger truck.
Yeah, but if you go to OTR for 2 weeks, when you're going to come home, you're going to appreciate her more.
Oh.
Because you haven't saw her in 2 weeks.
You see where he was coming from. Alex, of course, man. You're always deep in there. Well, Alex is a married man, so he knows.
If you're the kind of guy that wants to be home frequently, better aim for an LTL equipment, stay in your area, do the old school style. Go door to door to businesses and ask them if they need your services. Do cold calling to the businesses in your area. Befriend them. Maybe even do them a favor. I don't know. Haul it for once, I don't know, at half a price to prove them that you're a dependable carrier. I've saw people do that. That's totally fine. You're gonna lose some money or we're gonna break even. That's totally fine. If you made yourself, if you build your reputation, that's already something. Because that's very important too in terms of LTL equipment and LTL industry. We do not handle that properly because it doesn't need a dispatch at a spot freight market. And whatever dispatch company or service will ever tell you, he can book you on a Sprinter van or a box truck, he's BSing you big time. Because the spot market is definitely not for that. So that's why we don't work with this. It's not because we discriminate it, it's because we cannot help you.
No, I used to do it back in the day.
That only us benefit.
Last time we dispatched box trucks was 2016. box trucks, LTL, Sprinter vans, stuff like that. We had a few RGNs and stuff like that. We had different types of equipment. Here's the thing, guys. This is the video I wanted you guys to watch, and I've been sending it. It's really unfortunate that over 4 years it only has 732 views. This is one of the most important videos that we made on our channel, and I also have more hair on my head. But what the video is watch this if you're planning on running Hotshots. Why everyone's quitting. Now, this was back in 4 years ago in 2019, and I recommend watching it because, and I've sent this out to a few different people. The reason for it is it really makes a lot more sense. Or what I want to say is it's still relevant today, and it makes a lot more sense if you think about the numbers. Your operating costs are approximately the same as they would be with. I need to close this. I keep staring at myself here.
I mean, at least you were younger.
I was younger with more hair on my head. I'm telling you, it's nice. This is a nice thing. I can go back to the videos and say, well, I was complaining that my hair was falling out. You know, I would take that now. But yeah, no, it's the thing about it is you have to operating costs are going to be approximately the same as you were in a semi truck, but you have to also look at your income side, right? Okay, now we know how much you're going to spend. And maybe you're going to save a little bit on fuel economy, which you probably won't, because once you're fully loaded, it's all about the same. The cost of insurance is going to be all about the same, because you're still going to have your auto liability portion to activate your MC authority. That you're not insuring your equipment at that point. That's auto liability. So the cost is going to be about the same. Your overall costs are going to be about the same. So look at the other side of the equation, right? The income equation. How many loads are there? How much do they pay? And what you're going to notice is that there's a whole lot less freight, and it pays a lot less. Now, once you see that just like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm so glad I didn't buy a Sprinter van or a box truck or whatever. However, if that is something that you want to do, like Alex said, go find your own customers. Google is such an awesome thing. Here, you want to see something? Here, we'll just do it. We'll do it now, since we're just being so... we're kind of all over the place today in this sense. So what we're going to search for is, for example, cold storage or whatever. Let's see, storage warehouse near me. So we'll find one, and there's a bunch of companies right there. These are not exactly the kind of companies that I'm looking at, but any sort of manufacturing. Like, okay, so here we go. Some of these companies you'll be able to pull up. So, for example. Let's say cold storage, right, for reefer guys. Coral Storage Warehouse. Okay, so Americold, Performance Cold Storage, Titan Cold Storage. They have customers. There's going to be guys picking up stuff. Jensen Cold Storage, Titan. Look at just all the cold storage just around the valley. Yeah, you could be running around here, and this is just Salt Lake. I mean, if we go out a little bit, there's probably more stuff that's all around. So, and there's all sorts of different businesses that will help you do that. So the concept is that you can build a spreadsheet, fill in the information, call through everyone, stay in touch, have a little system, leave notes, get to know the gatekeepers, the secretaries, the people, try to get the owner's cell phones, show up. Once they've heard from you, give them a card, call them back, be on their mind. They're going to start calling you. It's going to get to a point where it's going to get inconvenient for you, because all of a sudden there's going to be two of them that are going to call you the same day. And you only can run one of them. Or you're going to have to figure something out, or you're going to have to discuss with them about scheduling, and you're going to be like, when it rains, it pours. So if you do want to run this equipment, run it locally, regionally at the most. But quit trying to take a Sprinter van and run it from, California to New Jersey. There's just no point. That's why they got semis for that. They'll do LTL. They'll do, multi-pick, multi-drop loads, and, different facilities. So it's okay. You can make money in the business. You can make money as a box truck. You can do that. We did. That's how we started in this business, with a box truck, 26-foot box truck. So I'm not hating on it. I'm not telling you not to do it. But what I am saying is, study the market. Everyone, for some reason, this is how it works. Every time I talk to people, the first thing they do is they go spend money. They either spend their money or they spend the bank's money, right? Which they have to pay back. And then they start wondering, okay, now that I got everything that I need, I'm ready to go. I am a business owner, they feel. Now let's go make some money. And that's the first time they open up a load board and they're like, oh, wait a minute, crickets, there's no freight. I have to deadhead 400 miles to go pick something up. And then now you're going to have to spend the next 6 months looking for customers, the next 3 months looking for customers. It's not that easy. And maybe you'll get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky. but you need multiple customers and you need to have a pricing plan because, oh, I was planning to do OTR, but I ended up doing local. Well, what are you going to charge now? Hourly? You're going to do flat rate basis? You're going to do different zones throughout the state? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have local, you're going to have to create your own BOLs now because no one's going to provide those for you. You're going to have to make your own oftentimes. So there's all these new challenges and aspects of the business, but you would have taken care of that part of the business had you done your due diligence and actually set yourself up from the very beginning to the type of business that you're trying to run. But trying to switch gears, like, oh my God, I was going to do OTR, but now I guess we'll have to do local. It's not, you just switched the entire setup of how you were planning to run the trucking, your trucking company. It took you a year to get set up and now you're going to switch gears like this. That's not how it works. So again, do your due diligence, do your homework, call who you ever got to do, take the notes, talk to all the right people, get yourself a business plan. You're going to think it sounds like boring, and it is, but you're going to learn about your business. And as you go through this process, you're going to come up with questions and ideas will start to kind of work and thoughts will start to percolate. And you're going to have a stronger business and you're going to give yourself a better chance of succeeding in that business. So with that said, Alex, if you have anything to add, anything that we can, kind of finish off, I think this pretty much tops it off.
To finish it off, if you're the guy that wants to work, or maybe, I don't know, you didn't have enough, I don't know, economical capabilities to get yourself a sample with a sleeper, and you went for a Sprinter van or a box truck or something like that, and you want to run spot market and you want to find yourself, and you're going to get yourself a dispatcher, thinking that it's a good idea to get yourself a dispatcher and that, my suggestion is it's better that you even if you're gonna go work as a cashier at Walmart, you're gonna make more money because the net income of a box truck that works on a spot market that even pays a dispatcher is less than $500 a week.
Yeah, it's not a huge amount of money.
No, you're making if you're making $2K a month, that's a good month. Because your costs are same as the semi, but your gross is half, sometimes even lower than half.
Absolutely. As always, guys, if you have any questions at any point, I had a gentleman the other day. I was honestly just trying to help him out. I'm sure he's not going to see this video. He's not going to see this part of the video. I had a gentleman. He contacted us. I was really trying to be helpful. He literally was getting ready for his new entrant audit. And I said, hey, send me your email and I'll send you a checklist, I'll help you out with this. And he was so sure that I was trying to sell him something that I never heard from him ever again. And so guys, don't be afraid. Sometimes people just want to help you out. And that's what we're offering you guys here. We don't just, I love business and I love trucking and so does Alex, but we don't particularly are trying to or fond of trying to spend our Easter Sunday, end of day doing lives and talking about trucking and stuff like that. We really want to be a resource to you guys. We really want to be helpful to you guys. We really want to see you guys succeed. And if at the end of the day, you guys want to work with us also in some shape or form, in some fashion, love to have you. Again, aftdispatch.com /go, for example, will take you to this page. If you have your own MCN DOTs, this one. If you want to lease on a zone or op, is that one. The sales pages or landing pages, whatever you want to call them. I hope it's working. Maybe it's not working. Should work. There it is. So that's the dispatch one, and then here's the leasing one. So same, just different backgrounds and information. Take your time, and happy Easter, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Take care. See you, Alex. Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
And don't hesitate to call me for whatever questions you have. Information is the only thing in this world that is free.
Yeah, absolutely. Free information is good. We live in an information age. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for your help, Alex.
Thank you, too. Happy Easter, guys.
Bye-bye.